To start with, I'm going to go ahead and delete the 10-inch line that we placed before from the example. And to do that, I'm going to go to my Delete Element tool, data point that, identify the element, and that 10-inch line is gone now. Now I have my clean area where I can lay out my side view. And to do that, I want to create a bridge deck that's 15 inches long span. So to do that, I'm going to go to my Place Line tool. It says at the bottom I have Place Line, identify the start of the line. I'm going to just select a point right here. You can do a tentative and a data point if you want. And I want to specify the length of my line and the auxiliary command to be 15 inches. So now it's showing that I can drag a line 15 inches anywhere. You may notice that these crosshairs are locking in at true up and down, left and right. That is my AccuDraw feature, and that can be toggled on and off up at the top here at AccuDraw. So if I turned that off and I'm selecting a line, now it's not forcing to lock in up and down, left and right, but I do want to have the AccuDraw on here. So now if I go to, let's press, now if I go to my place line, I'm going to lay my 15-inch line directly right there. Now I'm going to also go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer because we don't need the whole view. So we'll zoom into right here. And the next thing I want to do is I want to create the height of my bridge, or the height of the truss, and I want that to be 5 inches tall. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and copy this line rather than try to draw one out and fit it on the grid. And to do that, I go to the manipulate tools that I placed over here where copy's at. And if you go down to where the two squiggly lines are at, that's your move parallel or copy parallel. So I'm going to go ahead and select that feature. And it's telling me select element I want to move. And I want to copy the original. And the distance, I said I wanted this to be 5 inches tall, so I'm going to select 5. And then enter. So now I'm going to select my element. So just by dragging my cursor over, it's highlighting the element I want. So I'm going to data select that. And then depending on how I move my mouse, I could either copy this thing below 5 inches or above 5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and copy it above 5. And by doing that, whoops, I didn't keep the original here. So in order to fix that, just like with anything else in Windows type programs, I'm going to go to my undo button, which we brought this standard toolbar in earlier. So I'm going to do an undo, bring him back, and what I needed to check here in my move copy parallel is I needed to check the keep original box. So now when I select him and bring it up, do a reset button, now I have the bottom of my bridge and the top of the truss for my side view right here. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the top of this truss is 8 inches long off the center of the bridge. And to do that, I'm going to do a couple different commands here to make that work. How I'm going to choose to do it is I'm going to select the line feature again. I'm going to click on the place line. And I want to offset a line 4 inches on either side, which will give me 8 off the midpoint. And to do that, I'm going to check down to my snap tools, which I said are important for drawing things out right. And I'm going to make sure I have the midpoint snap on. Now by pressing that button, I'm still on the place line command, but now the cursor is wanting to place the crosshairs right at the middle there. It's drawing, it wants to draw the X right in the middle of that 15-inch line, so I'm going to accept that. And really, to be honest with you, the length of this line isn't critical because this is only kind of a temporary line. But I do want it to be up and down, and I do want it to be straight up and down, but it's not allowing me, it's allowing me to pick the midpoint there, but up here it's not, and that's because I left the grid lock settings on, which forced all the elements to want to be drawn to these points. So I'm going to have to turn that off, and to do that I go out to my settings, design file, and I still had my grid thing checked, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the grid lock off. I don't need that anymore. I use that to place my border in, so I'm going to OK that. Now I can go straight up and down, and I can go in between those 1-inch points, so I'm going to leave that there. And to copy my one side, I'm going to go back, get out of the place line, go back into my move copy parallel, make sure that button's pressed, copy parallel. I want the top of my truss to be 8 inches, so half of 8 is 4. I want to keep my original, and I'm going to pick either side. I could do it on both sides, but I'm just going to do it on the one side for now. And the next thing I want to do here is I want to connect this point with this point to show the angle of the end of my truss. And I'll go ahead and get back into place line command. Now the length and the angle don't matter here because I want to snap on the end point here and the intersection here. So to make sure I grab those points, I want to make sure I have the right snap selected. In this instance, to snap to the end, I want key point snap. So when I press that button, it's placing that X right on the end of that line. So now I'm truly at the end there. Now I want to go to the intersection here. Well, we do have a snap for that also. That is your intersect snap. So when I press the intersect snap, it's going to force that want to go right there. So if I do a data or left mouse click, now I've created my angle connecting there. This portion of my top truss is not needed, so I'm going to go ahead and trim or delete that off. And then to do that, I go into the modify toolbar that I brought in. And if you look for the tic-tac-toe board there, that's looking feature, that's the trim command. So I'm going to select that. And down at the bottom, it's telling me I got the trim button pushed. It says identify the cutting elements or edges. Well, I want to cut this thing off of this line, so this is my cutting element. So I'm going to go ahead and select that with the data click. Now it says identify elements to trim to, or to trim, and I want to cut this one. So if I select the line on this side, it's going to cut this portion off. If I select it on this side, it's going to cut this portion off. Well, I want to eliminate this side, so I make sure my mouse is hovering over there, do a data click, and it trimmed that off exactly there. I don't need this line anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete him. So with my delete command, he's gone. I'm going to do a reset, just for good measure, do an element selection. That way I know I'm not going to delete anything else. Now to create my angle for my side view for my truss, I could do the same thing, copy, offset, and draw and trim. Or I can use a different feature, and I'm going to use the mirror command to make a copy of this angle over here. And to do that, I go back into the manipulate toolboxes there, and I'm going to look for the one that says mirror. So by selecting that, it says mirror element, identify the element. Well, this is the element I want to mirror, so I'm going to do a tentative to highlight it, data point click, and you'll notice that I have some different options in this auxiliary tool feature here, I can, if I mirror it horizontal, I can make it up and down. If I switch that to vertical, I could go in a plane anywhere, side to side. But what I want to go to is about a line, because I want to make sure that this is 8 inches and 15 inches right on point. So by mirroring about a line, you also want to make sure that you click make a copy, because you want to make sure this one stays. So you click on make copy. I have to select the element again, so I'm going to go ahead and select him. And then now it tells me enter the first point on the mirror line. Well, I want to mirror about this line because this is the center of my truss there. So I'm going to go ahead and, for this point you can select a near point snap, which will pick anywhere along this line. And then the second point, now if I did a data click here, it would stop it there, or anywhere along there it would stop it, but I want it to be on this line, so I'm going to make sure my near point snapped again. And this wants to grab there, so when I data click, it made a copy right along there. Lastly, I can go ahead and perform my trim again. This will be my cutting element, and this is the portion I want to cut off. And to double check and verify I can that this is 8 inches long, I can go ahead and check my measure command, which is over, we got that over here. You can measure between points, or you can measure the element. Let's measure the element. We'll select the top there, and it does in fact say that this is 8 inches long. So that worked out fine. Last thing I'm going to do here from a side view is I don't need my center reference part anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that.